Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're going to sit here with Niles today, who's kind of creeping up to see what's going on. And we're going to give him a treat of some quail eggs, and we want to talk about a couple things. And you'll have to excuse me for not looking at the camera as much as I may otherwise, but this is one of those animals that you've got to kind of keep an eye on when he comes out. So for anybody that's in any reptile groups on social media, watching YouTube channels, making YouTube channels, what I want to talk about today is how important it is for the reptile community to have a unified front, for us to maintain civility between ourselves, for us to maintain civility when we're talking with lawmakers and things like that, and to just keep everything positive. And it's really important. It seems like it's a little bit more important here lately than it has been. So we're going to get a little treat here for Niles and let him eat and have a little powwow today when we come back on Intrepid Exotics. Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. Now, I really wanted to do a video with him outdoors, but it's still in the 60s here. We're still waiting. We've had 1 or 2 days that it hit 80 degrees, and I'm not going to take any of my animals outside if it's any cooler than that. There you go. Look what I got. Got a treat for you. There you go. So Niles here loves his quail eggs. A really good treat for him. Ain't that right, buddy? Want another one? There you go. So we'll see how long he'll hang out with me. He's a good boy. Give him back. There. Such a messy eater. Clean up your mess first, bud. Clean up your mess. Big old mess in there. You got egg stuff all over the place. You got a little shell right here. There. What? 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 You just relax. Okay? You just relax. You just chill out. Be a good boy. Be a good boy. Yeah. Easy, easy, easy. You done? guess he's had enough of us since there's no more food. So now that we're set up here, in a safer position where I don't necessarily have to worry about a sneak attack. Where you going, bud? So I kind of wanted to rehash a conversation that we had over this past weekend. One of the things that came up, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a while myself, and that is keeping a positive vibe in the reptile community. It's really, really important. It's just like we always hear the divide and conquer phrase said about just about everything. Just think about how much more we could accomplish in this country if we weren't divided into two such polarized groups of people that really think pretty similarly about things, but have a couple key differences, and now all of a sudden we're divided into these two groups that are going to fight each other and not get anything accomplished. Well, we really can't stand to have that happen in the reptile community. That will, if we let the reptile community itself get divided, and having a lot of bad blood between really prominent public figures and things like that, that could stand to be a nail in our coffin on a lot of different issues. And this is something that's really important for all of us. We are all guilty at one point or another making some sideways remark that maybe we shouldn't have and things like that. But it's something that we see really commonly on social media, Facebook groups. There's all kinds of groups out there for ball pythons, Nile monitors, reticulated pythons, Burmese, groups that are, specifically for certain species. And, you get every level of person in there, from laymen that don't know anything about these animals to professional breeders that have been doing this stuff for 30 years. And of course, you're going to see every range of comments, every range of questions, things like that. But, one disturbing thing that we see there is, you may see somebody that's just now getting into the hobby and they're asking beginner questions, and you may get some, real arrogant keeper that's been doing this stuff for a long time saying, man, if you don't even know the basics, you don't need to get it. And it's among some of the nicer things that I've heard said to some of these folks, and it's just not the level of positivity that we need to present to the public, to everybody that doesn't keep these animals, especially to new keepers. Because one of the things that's going to help, enable us to maintain our rights to keep these animals is growing the community. And the only way to grow the community is to welcome new people into it and let them see that the reptile community is unique among others, that we're that we stand together, that we support each other, and we don't do that by spreading negativity about things. One thing that I really focus on my channel, we've all got our own personal views. And by no means am I saying we should have one personality or be one person in private and another person in public, because that's just not genuine. I've got pretty intense views about certain things. I don't change those views moving in and, sitting down in front of the camera for Intrepid. But I do tone those things down a bit because I don't want to be intentionally provocative. I don't want to come across aggressively on things, and I don't want to put the reptile community in a bad light. One of the examples that I brought up when we was discussing this stuff over the weekend is that, if you're out someplace and you hear somebody talking about a plumber, for instance, and, this one person says, well, this plumber's good, but this plumber, he came over, he tracked mud all through the house, he reeked of alcohol, and he just had a really terrible attitude and everything. People don't remember the names of this plumber against the name of that plumber. They don't remember Mike and Bob. All they remember out of that conversation is plumber bad. And it's the same thing if we allow ourselves You know, once you start getting a public platform out there and you start getting so many people paying attention to you, you know, I don't have that many people paying attention to my channel, but there's people out there that, you know, are putting stuff out for millions of people. And when you've got that many people paying attention to you, you know, it's really important that we put our personal, any personal conflicts, anything personal, put that stuff on the shelf. You know, any of us, we're not out there to represent ourselves. We're out there to represent the reptile community. And that's a real important thing to remember, because at the end of the day, people aren't going to remember your name. They're going to remember the pictures that they've seen. They're going to remember the really inflammatory things that they heard, and it's just going to put everybody in a bad light. You know, I make a point that it's very important to criticize bad ideas. It's extremely important to criticize bad ideas. But you don't criticize the person. You criticize the idea. You know, when you criticize the person, then you start conflict, and your chances of reaching people just diminish exponentially if you make it a personal attack. One of the big topics lately has been the really gruesome live feeding videos, you know, of live feeding crocs and live feeding their snakes and things like that. You know, live feeding lizards. You know, it's particularly gruesome with lizards because they're not polite about their hunting at all. But you know, things like that, regardless of what your opinion of live feeding is, you know, and I've said this in other videos, we're not condemning live feeding as a practice, because sometimes it's necessary, sometimes that's what you do. But glamorizing it for entertainment purposes is really bad for the hobby. Period. I think we can all agree on that. Any kind of glamorized violence around these animals, whether it be live feeding or whether it be extreme bite videos and things like that that aren't in a strictly educational context, those things are all bad publicity for us. And we cannot be breaking our own fingers and then trying to write a novel. It's just not going to work. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, people who do bad things don't need to be held accountable for them at all. What I am saying is that, particularly on this topic of these really grisly live feeding videos, you know, that's one thing that I think everybody can agree, that glamorizing violence of that nature is not good for the hobby. We get it. You know, there's still people out there that live feed. There's reputable people out there that do live feedings. Sometimes it's necessary. You know, we're in a hobby where, you know, most of our animals eat whole prey items. It's not like, you know, going down and buying a box of dog food for your puppy. You know, our animals eat whole prey. And sometimes it requires us to do live feedings. But it never requires us to put that on display. But the thing is with this, is that if we see people that are doing things that are detrimental to, you know, the public image of reptile keeping, or to, you know, bad husbandry, things of that nature, those are all things that we can manage a couple different ways, other than making a big paid in place thing out of it. We do not want to over dramatize reptile keeping at all, for any reason. You know, if somebody hurts your feelings, if somebody says something, that's fine. Talk to them offline about it. You don't have to publicize it. This isn't, you know, the Reptile Keepers Housewives. It doesn't do anything but hurt everybody. You know, and, you know, some people you're not going to be able to get through to. You know, if you've got somebody out there who is, you know, doing a lot of grisly live feed stuff or whatnot, like I said, we attack the ideas. Don't attack the people. Because if you attack the ideas and you live by example, you know, you demonstrate through what you show people that, you know, this is the humane way to do it. And, you know, you can talk about how detrimental, some of this stuff is. And just get that across to people so that, sooner or later, that's going to be the norm across the entire hobby. That you don't go in and just start chucking live animals in just to watch them fight. And sooner or later, you get enough people along that same train of thought, and the people that are doing that are going to be outliers further and further and further, and they'll be that much more disconnected from the rest of the reptile community. People that are cruel like that will naturally separate, just like oil and water, from good, reputable people, good, reputable keepers that care about our animals. Those people will separate out. And it'll be a distinct difference, even to the layman, when you talk, or when you watch somebody and you see, this person really cares about these animals, he's responsible with them, and, and put everything in a positive light and maintain that positive light, and then when they switch over and they see somebody doing those other things, it's going to be even that much more clear that this is the wrong way to do things, this is the right way to do things. But I guarantee you, somebody that's not familiar with you, if they turn something on and they see you slinging mud at somebody else, you putting down this other keeper, that person doesn't know the difference between you two. They don't know you. They don't know how good of a handler you are. They don't know how good of a keeper you are. All they see is somebody saying something negative about another keeper, and that's what they're going to walk away with. And it's real important that we don't do that to each other. We as keepers, we all are capable of, just like I've said in other videos, we're all capable of really reading our animals and understanding their behavior and understanding little subtleties in their behavior so that we can manage them the right way. And we can do the same thing with people. It's just really important that we keep everything positive. Especially since I've started my live streams and stuff now. I actually put a disclaimer out on the page here earlier. I had one sideways comment in my first live stream. And since I'm just now starting everything and moderating everything myself, it's not always easy for me to catch that stuff. And, so I just put it out there point blank. It's all about enjoying the hobby. Get in, crack jokes, have fun, enjoy the whole experience. But don't do it at somebody else's expense. And it's anybody that comes in any of my live chats insulting somebody or putting somebody down, or spewing any kind of extremism one way, left, right, or center, it doesn't matter. They're just getting blocked, because I want to have my community be completely positive. We're going to address things that are bad. We're going to talk about, I think live feeding is gruesome and you should avoid it if at all possible. We're going to talk about things as, be careful free handling venomous snakes. You may see one person do it, but that person may have been doing it for 20 or 30 years. And this is something that's dangerous and can get you hurt. And we're going to talk about these dangerous things, and we're going to talk about negative things. But like I said, it's attacking the idea. It's not attacking people. It's all meant to make everybody better keepers, to keep everybody safe. And it can be such a fun, positive experience. That's what it's supposed to be. We keep these animals. Every time I've ever had anybody over here to interact with my animals, it's been fun. Even though I'll sit down before anybody touches any one of my animals and give them the briefing. This is what happens if you get bit. This is what happens if I get bit. If something happens and something goes wrong, this is what you can expect, and this is what you need to be prepared for. I sit down and explain that to anybody before they touch any of my animals. And, so you can address the negative things and still keep it a positive experience. Really important. We don't want to over dramatize reptile keeping for the sake of views, for the sake of growing channels, for the sake of, settling disputes and things like that. There's some really great, respectable people out there, people that have done a lot with animals, and it is really important that we continue to focus on the positive aspects of all of this stuff. So really, guys, the whole point of today is, the reptile community as a whole has enough people after us. We do not need to start going after each other. There's going to be disagreements between people. There's going to be people in the community that are doing things that aren't good for the hobby. There's going to be things that we need to address. But I think what we need to address immediately is really making a concerted effort for everybody to keep things positive, to keep things humane, and to really encourage, newer keepers to get into the hobby, really encourage people that have an interest about these animals and to help them. And to not be condescending to new keepers when they're in forums and things like that. This is how we're going to grow the community. We all talk about US ARC memberships, and I've got the link to that down in the description to this. If you don't have your membership, get it. It's going to be a huge help. The more people we get on board, they do a lot for us, whether you see it or not. And but like I said, we really need to focus on staying positive. We need to focus on keeping things fun. If somebody wants to watch a reality show, there's a million of them out there for them to watch, and we need to not be like a reality show. If it's going to cost you a couple thousand views, a couple thousand subscribers, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter, because our integrity as keepers should be more important to us than any amount of money, any amount of views, or any amount of subscribers. I know my channel, just growing it up, I want reputable people to be in the community. I want people to be in my community that care about the animals. And if that means I never get over 10,000 subs, then so be it. I'm still going to enjoy sitting here and, sharing my animals with folks and helping new folks get into the hobby and stuff like that. So that's the big takeaway. Let's keep everything positive. Of course, get your US ARC membership. The link's down in the description. If you're in the Carolinas, north or south, check out the Carolina Herp Society. That link's down in the description too. This Saturday, and again, like I said, I'm starting live streams every Saturday. This coming Saturday, I'm going to have Nicole Tisdale from Reptile Exotics on. She invited me onto her channel a while back, so I'm inviting her onto mine. And she's a really awesome keeper, and she's just a really awesome person. I think it'll be a really good conversation. And you guys just keep an eye on the communities tab, because a couple days before a live stream comes out, I'm going to post all that, day and time, so forth, who's going to be on, and we're going to start having a lot of fun with those. So, again, guys, let's keep it safe, let's keep it positive, let's support each other, and let's fix all of our problems behind the scenes, so that when we're showing ourselves to the public, it's a united front. When lawmakers are clicking in and they're watching our videos and they're coming to learn about our animals, they see professional keepers conducting themselves in a safe, professional manner, and we want to give them every reason in the world to give us the benefit of the doubt that we can keep reticulated pythons and Burmese pythons and tegus and Nile monitors, and we can keep all of these animals, and we can keep them safely, we can keep them humanely, and it's just a positive experience all the way around for everybody. That's what we need them to see. So get down here, like the video, gets it out to more people, get subscribed to the channel, get notified, and tune in with us on Saturdays, 5 o'clock Eastern, so when I'll be doing my live streams. And as I get a little bit more adept at running those things, it's really going to start being a lot of fun, I think. So you guys have an outstanding day. Keep it positive, and I'll see you next time on Intrepid Exotics.